Don't see any leakage. I might try to tighten those up just a little bit, but this is super cool. Alright guys, the garden needs to be watered, but I've got a busted hose. Now it's keeping pretty good pressure even though it is this way, so I think what I might do is I'm going to go ahead, I'll pause the video, I'm going to get the garden watered because we don't have any rain coming up soon enough, so it definitely has to be watered. And then I'm going to come back with you guys and I'm going to show you how to fix this, hopefully. So this is a flex hose, so my hopes are not super high, and this is in like the middle of my hose. So when it's in the middle of the hose and it's a flex hose, that's a bit of a more complicated issue. So I'm going to get the garden watered just in case this fails, because then I'll have to go get another hose. And then I'll come back and we will see if we can get this fixed up. Alright, so I'm back from watering the garden, and now we need to mark off where this hole is, because otherwise I'm not going to know when I shut the hose off. So, because the hose is wet, I'm not going to count on this tape to stick to the hose itself. So I'm just going to wrap it around and stick the tape end to end. If I don't get it all stuck together. Alright, so that's enough room for me to cut on either side. So we're going to cut here, and we're going to cut here, and then we're going to use the flanges here, slide each side of the hose on, and then clamp these down on either side of it to keep it nice and secure. These are 5/8. I had to take a guess. That's what most of these flex hoses are. But I didn't have like the original packaging or anything. So hopefully I've got the right size, and I'm going to go ahead, get this hose turned off, and meet you back here. Alright, so I should have most of the water out of this hose right now. And I want to see, ooh, that's gooey. I don't know why it is, but it is. I don't know if that's part of the material or what, but I can actually see the hole there, so we're gonna go ahead. Moment of truth. I'm gonna officially ruin my hose the rest of the way. Alright. Hopefully. Yep, there we go. Okay, and that's what I was expecting, because this is what I looked up. We've got this protective covering on the outside, and then the hose is in the middle there. Alright, so now we want to go ahead and cut this side off because we don't want to try and slide the busted piece over. So I'm going to go back here and cut this. These aren't any special scissors, by the way. They're just ones I had in the kitchen that I thought would do the job. It did on the other one. Alright, and tighten it with it. Would a knife do better? Maybe, but this is what I grabbed. Okay, so now we've got both sides open here, and we don't need this tape anymore, so let's get this out of the way. Alright. So now we want to slide this piece, the black piece, out of our way here. Again, I've never done this before. You're doing this with me, okay? Trying to save money. So if this works, I will have only spent $13. And me spending money on a brand new hose would have costed me $50 or more. Probably much more, just because I need a hose that is 100 feet long. and the ones that I was seeing, they were only 50. 50 is not gonna get me where I need to be. So this is what we're doing right now. Hopefully this works. You're on the struggle bus with me. Okay, I'm gonna cut this a little bit further. All right, that's what it looks like. Now we gotta do the other side. And we'll see how long this lasts. Obviously this is a temporary fix because I'm sure at some point it's going to cause me issues. But right now it's just not in the budget to buy a $50 hose if I can avoid it. Alright, so we've got both ends out there. Let's go ahead and grab our flange out of the case. So you don't have to buy a kit that had this many. However, it was roughly the same price to buy just one, which I thought was interesting. And so I figured it would be good to have extras handy. So they're just gonna slide on. We're going to attempt to slide it on. Alright. May have to pull more of that back. Obviously, it's not easy to do when your hands are wet. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video, try and get this sucker on here, but, okay. Alright guys, Yellow Jacket wanted his moment in the spotlight. I'm going to pause, try to get this slid on, but that's all that you do. You slide this end on, slide the other end on. So let me see if I can work on this, and then I will come back. Alright guys, so I got it on there. My little trick for this is my boyfriend recently had a tattoo, and he's got a whole bunch of Aquaphor bottles lying around. So was that the greatest thing to use in the hose? I don't know, but it'll wash out, so I'm not very worried about it. But that let me slide that on very easily. Now before you put the other side on, it's important that you slide these pieces over first, which I gotta be honest with you, I did not do. So I had to take this side off. I'm gonna put more Aquaphor on here. And just so you can see, Aquaphor, our tool of choice for today. Spread that around on there. Wipe the rest off on yourself because that's what we're doing. And then we're gonna get this piece slid on. And we're gonna drop you guys at the same time. Alright, so the hardest part is getting it started. Okay, so I got it partially on there. I'm gonna wiggle that back and forth. So my recommendation at this point is that you do cut this outside down quite a bit of ways so that it's not in your way. But here we are. We've almost got this back on here. And I want to make sure that I get it all the way up to this middle piece here so that we have the best seal. Alright, let's get this out of the way. Some of you have done this before, probably thinking I'm totally butchering the poor hose. But this is how, like I said, this is my first time doing this. And I wanted to share this experience with you because if this works, then, you know, that's all that matters, right? Okay, so I saw people do this two different ways. I saw them go ahead and leave this over top of this piece and go ahead and tighten it down. I also saw people go ahead and cut this back and tighten directly on top. I would like to have that little added coverage, I think. So I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it on there. But what I'm going to do is going to make sure that these two ends are not overlapping so that it's not bulky and cutting down on my seal. Okay, so I think that's going to be good enough. So you want one on one side. I'm sure in the middle would be great. You guys are falling again, seeing my face. All right. All right, so I feel like one in the middle on each side, and then I need to go get myself a flathead or a Phillips here so I can tighten these. All right, so I've got these on here, and I put them where I felt was roughly the middle. So I've got I'm stopping right about where my thumbnail is, and then we've got up to here. I didn't think I should put it all the way at the beginning there. So we're gonna tighten those down. I didn't want to go down to the basement, so this is what I'm using. Little swag bag thing. Alright, so this one's still a little bit loose, so I'm gonna move that just a bit. I feel like we're almost there. Alright, setting this one this way. Sorry about the neighbor's dogs. Normally I try not to do videos when other people are out here, but I really need this hose fixed, so you get to be a part of the experience. Alright, I think I have those as tight as they're gonna go. Yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna leave you guys here, and we're gonna moment of truth it. My phone may get wet. Alright. Clearly it moved, you guys. But it looks like it's working. Alright, let me go grab the hose handles. I can change the pressure. Alright, so got you on my tripod here. It's working. You're sliding, but it's working. I'm not a professional, obviously, but it does work, guys. Okay, so I don't see any leakage. I might try to tighten those up just a little bit, but this is super cool. Alright, so we went from a potentially $50 plus hose option to 13 bucks. This is a kit off of Amazon. And if you have a regular plain Jane hose from the store, you know, the ones you grew up with, those are super easy to fix with little repair kits. So if you didn't know you can do this, you can, and you can do it on both types. So this is showing you a flex hose in the middle of the hose, which is probably one of the hardest things to fix. But I accomplished it, and that only took me about 20 minutes, I'd say, because I'm 13 minutes on with you guys. Took a couple of breaks to grab some things, but overall this probably took me 20 minutes. If I wasn't filming, I would say 10 to 15.